Hello and welcome back for Manly 16Ft Skiff Club Championship Heat 7 today, and here with the starters, and got two special guests. Got Dolly back, Andrew Dolly Davola, and back by popular demand is Jessica Riles. Welcome, guys.
Hello, thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Exciting times looking out there with a lot of seaway, a lot of breeze, plenty of thrills and spills. I'm sure will be had today. The race committee have opted for a shortened version of the racetrack today, with the mark not far past Canai Point or Flagstaff. We're down here just off Fairlight Beach at the moment. And what's your take on today, guys?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those days where I'm jealous I'm not sailing. I love a big southerly. The breeze was very fresh this morning with a big swell. It does seem to have died off a little bit, so we'll see how that plays out over the course of the race. Looking at where they're putting the top mark, though, or where they're thinking of setting it, I think we'll still get a fair bit of swell for those barroways, so keep an eye out for some swims potentially.
Yeah, when you say short course, Jimmy, it's short in distance from the top to the bottom, but still a long course for the club championship. 5 laps for the 16s, 3 for the 13s, and yeah, we're south-southeast, about 15 to 20 knots at the moment. Big outgoing tide, 2 metres down to 0.1. So yeah, up towards the top of the course. We've had a bit of swell for the last week anyway, and we've got wind against tide. I think we're going to see some pretty fruity action bearing away at the top mark.
It was definitely very fruity bringing the camera cat around from Middle Harbour, that's for sure. Dole, it was a few hold on boys moments, so we got there in the end.
Yeah, so we're looking up course there now on screen towards Quarantine. Little bit protected there. From both the breeze and the swell, but you can see on screen, viewers are just starting a few white caps still around. So yeah, at the moment I think we're looking at about probably 17 to 18 knots at the top end, but it's sort of been phasing in and out a little bit. So an hour or so ago it was a solid bit over 20, backed off again, but now it looks like we might be getting another little bit of phase of pressure, so fingers crossed.
I'll have to run that past Bucko, mate, if phase is the right word for you. But,
yeah, no, I'll keep it simple for the viewers at home, Jimmy. I won't get too technical like Bucko does. But no, it looks like an absolute cracking day. Fleet numbers a little bit down today. We are missing a few boats. I've noted that Red Pumps, I believe Greg's away. Modern Concepts aren't here. Employment Hero was looking a bit thin on the ground in the park today, and a little bit surprising with Red Pumps currently sitting 4th in the point score. But I'll just run through those points, will I, Jimmy, while we've got an opportunity?
Yeah, we'll get the points for the 16s. There they are,
there
up on
they
screen.
are up on your screen. So imagine Signage with a pretty healthy lead, 8 points over Sail Racing on 17. Moon and Yachts 20, Red Pumps on 23, Sutec on 24, and then looking down, we won't bring the 13s up on screen just yet, I don't think, but we've got Harkin narrowly leading over Ebix with a good gap back to Fluid, then Bartley and Cybertech. There's the numbers on screen there for you folks. So yeah, Harkin and Ebix in a pretty tightly fought contest for the championship at this point in time. So we should see some good action today.
And Ebix will be wanting
a bit of revenge after the Nationals.
Yeah. So yeah, they narrowly got pipped on the last day, which was pretty exciting for the guys on Cybertech.
Cybertech, yeah. So the Cybertech sitting in 5th, but yeah, after retaining that bit of silverware, James and Gemma Hopkins will be looking certainly to challenge in the club championship, try and get that silverware. Change on Imagine Signage today on the sheet. We've got Max Paul on the sheet on the Imagine today. Worthy replacement, one of our campaigners in the 49ers, trying to get a spot for Paris this year for the Olympics. And I just wanted to give a shout out. His grandmother is doing, Angela Kenny is in hospital, and I believe she's watching the coverage today. So hope you enjoy today, Angela, and hope you're feeling better soon.
There's Bartley and Nozomi on screen.
Botany, I think, is it? Oh, it is Bartley, sorry.
Cunningham's going the other way, so...
Yeah, we had Moon and Yachts was our first boat out on the water, so I know they didn't have some results they were super keen on earlier in the club championship, so a bit of breeze today is what they really look for, so I think they'll be keen to get a good result in. Cunningham's on screen there. I know they really love this fresh weather as well, so we'll keep an eye on them throughout the race.
Yeah, they've been doing well. They seem to do a bit better up range with the big rig, though, I think. But it looks to me like everyone's got little rig in today, anticipating some fruity action. Imagine, oh no, Typhoon coming down there with the Imagine Spinnaker, just to confuse us a bit.
So they got the gold Spinnaker.
The gold, not the white.
Yeah. And Imagine's got the grey one. So.
Oh, they got grey one now. Oh, they do too. Yeah.
So we'll keep it up. We'll try and not get that too wrong during the day.
So there's Moonen on screen there, Daniel Turner and the boys. So yeah, as Jess alluded to, they've had, I think they had a DSQ, didn't they?
They had two, like on the first double header of the clubby, they had two bad swims at the top mark. That's the first time. Similar course that we're on today. So they'll be definitely wanting to put that behind them. They've got a reasonable scorecard moving forward, and they can still potentially win it. But a few things have to go their way in the process as well. And there's the Imagine signage on screen.
Our current series leader.
And Pagey back on board.
Yes, Malcolm's on today. Nathan steering, and as I mentioned, Max Paul on the sheet. So fairly formidable team. And they'll be looking for another good result to just solidify their lead in the championship at the moment. Yeah, good team. They should handle these conditions with ease, I would think. But stranger things have happened, haven't they?
We've seen it all this season, that's for sure.
We've seen very strange things happen occasionally. So it's the young guys, young Max steering the Nozomi.
Yeah, they have really, really improved a lot this year. It was great to see them get a new boat at the start of the season, and their crew work has improved a lot, so we'll see how they put all that together today.
Yeah, they broke a rig. Not that one, though. I think they broke their big rig. And that seemed to make a big improvement to their performance. But, three very young guys. Great to have young blood in the class, and they graduated through the 16Ft Skiff fleet and won the Nationals in Belmont, at Belmont in the 13 a couple of years ago. So great to see their progression in the class. So Amy on screen.
No Robbie Napper.
No, Rob's at work.
Got the double Barnabas.
Yeah, so Zach in the bow, Trent on the sheet, and Hugh Stoddart on the helm as usual. So another worthy replacement, young Zach.
Yeah, we don't talk too much about him now that he's gone to Warringah from the Marlins. So I told him the other day he's disowned. But no, really good young sailor in his right mind. Treno filled in last week on the Finport on the 18s, and
I saw that.
Was a little bit probably sore. But he was on the sheet, so that was not too bad.
Good. Sutek on screen there, who are doing pretty well in the club championships at the moment. I think from memory they were sitting on 4th at the moment. Yeah, a boat that just seems to have so much fun on the water between the 3 of them. So a happy boat is a fast boat, so good for them.
Always having a good time, the boys on the Sutek.
Yep.
It's not far off signals here.
So we've got the compass bearing CB flag on our start boat, with an L5 for our 16s and L3 for our 13-foot skiffs. So that means they will do 5 laps finishing downwind. Thinking about the 5 laps, usually we would be doing 3 longer laps compared to 5 shorter laps, but I think potentially 3 laps is less tiring, particularly for our bowmen, so we're going to have to set and drop the kite 5 times today. That sounds like hard work.
Says Jess, who's a skipper.
I know, I'm a skipper. So.
Don't pretend you got sympathy for a bowman.
I'm with you, Jess.
Just yell louder and they'll do their job.
Yeah. Yeah, give them no sympathy whatsoever.
Especially if they have a swim, they've got to pull the boat up for you and then set the kite again. Yeah, it could be a big day.
Yeah, at the moment, I'd say with little rigs, they're fairly safe. It's sort of, as I said before, I think sort of 17, 18 knots, which is usually pretty manageable with the little rig. But the top mark placement will determine the bearaways will be the tricky bit, that's for sure.
On screen now we have Sail Racing, who are currently 2nd in the series. They had the luxury of rigging at home today, so they came out of 40 baskets looking relaxed, big smiles, nice wave.
Giving us a wave, thank you boys, there they are. Yeah. They've probably just, on the front lawn had a charcuterie board and a cappuccino or something, They're nice to be able to rig outside your waterfront home, Paul. Yeah, no, that certainly makes it easy. A bit tricky though when you can't see what rig everyone else is putting in though. But they probably
Be a pretty safe bet today though, Dol.
It would be, yeah, yeah, and no doubt they've probably got some spies over in the boat park just in case.
And I also think they know what they're doing as well.
It's a 5-minute hooter in the background, so be interesting come the top mark, that's for sure, with the bearaways. And talk us through the process there, Jess, before we get up there. Like, what's the process that the skipper goes through and hopes that the crew can perform?
Yeah, a lot of it's in the timing. So especially if you've got a big swell, you need to make sure that boat is absolutely dead flat. It's a really good time for skipper and sheet to be working together. So as I'm bearing away, I need the sheet hand to be easing out the main very, very quickly. A little bit of windward heel and around you go, weight all the way back in the boat, and then get the forward hand in at the right timing, so you don't come in on yourself. And yeah, it's a hard thing to get used to, especially in the 13 when you're first learning about how a skiff bears away. It takes a lot to get into, but yeah, with lots of practice, some heavy weight on the side, we're all good.
Yes, flat to over flat. Inclined to windward is even better. And as we always say, Jimmy, didn't we? Move to the back of the bus, ladies and gentlemen.
There's often with, I used to have Robbie going, you got to get back here. There's like no more boat there, mate. Like I'm stepping off into air. So
I was always happy to have you on that back corner, Jimmy.
I think everyone was that steered the fire stopping, mate. They were always happy to have me on the back corner.
Yeah.
Didn't want me on the boat on light days, that's for sure. There's the leaders of the 13s, Heidi and Orlando, on board the Harkin.
And I saw them out training last night. So, we've already had the Nationals and the big regattas are over, and there they were on a Friday night. Nice breeze last night too.
Beautiful
out
breeze.
In the bay. It was fantastic, and I saw them. They put in a pretty good session out there, so it just shows they're still hungry for more. Can never be too prepared.
Yeah, I think they were probably a little bit disappointed from their Nationals campaign. They did put in a ton of work leading into it, a lot of training, and just, a few things just, a few days just didn't go the way they needed it to go for them, unfortunate. And when you have, one problem, it just compounds into another most of the time.
Oh, look, they're super determined and both extremely talented, but you've also got to take into account, I think Heidi's 13, 14? She's very young.
Yeah, she's very young.
Very young.
She's still sailing in the Flying 11s as well. So after Nationals, she went up to Queensland the next day to do another week of Nationals.
So, Heidi's got a big future ahead of her.
Absolutely.
Yeah, jumping into a skiff at a very young age.
And winning a Manly Club Championship, there's so much good competition on the water within the club. So if you're looking good in a Manly Club Championship, we know that you've got a bright future.
Yeah, that's for sure. And sailing the 13, you jump into a Flying 11 and it feels like a bit of a tie.
There's Fluid with Chad Beebe steering today.
Yeah, and James Smithers and David Burkett, I believe. Dave Burkett will be ready for a little lie down after 5 laps tonight, I think.
Oh, he's a pure athlete, Berkey.
He is. Coming just 1 minute there now. So down to 1 minute. The majority of the boats are shaping up towards the boat end of the line here, with the exception of Imey looking down towards the pin, and also out back Marine starting to run down there. But otherwise, the majority of the boats are up at the weather end there. You can see from our long shot there on screen at the moment.
Yeah, and I think playing it safe, coming into the boat end of the line with a bit more breeze, just to give yourself a bit more runway with more pressure in the sails.
You've been looking up breeze for the past couple of minutes, Jess, been watching you eagerly watch it up there. Which way are you going?
Oh, that's a good question, Jimmy. I often get it wrong in a southerly. I think tactics are going up Reef Beach and then trying to get some clear air across to the left. Sounds like we've had an individual recall, and it looks like Imey was definitely over, and they are coming back now.
Very keen on a port hander there.
They went for a port hander, and they weren't only over, they were over by a long way. So Moonen looking good off the line there with Sail Racing. Sail Racing put in a quick little double tack up at the boat end just to try and get a little bit of real estate between them and the boats to leeward.
Yeah, I think that was a really smart and quick decision by them, because they're looking like they're in a good spot there. Fluid just on screen there is our first boat that has tacked out, finding some clear air.
Yeah, so you probably will be able to take a little bit out to the right-hand side with the big outgoing tide.
Not on screen, we've got one of the freshwater class ferries leaving Manly Wharf inbound, so that'll make it interesting with all the guys trying to charge over to that eastern shore.
Yeah, those big ferries which Jimmy just referred to, our 16s have to give way to them, but the smaller cat ferries will give way ideally to us.
I think that ferry's on port though.
Yeah. They do have a really big wind shadow as well, so even if you get out of its way, you need to give yourself enough room so you're not blocking any wind.
Yeah, we used to use that to our advantage when we had the interclubs here, and particularly the Belmont guys. I know we did it to Gilzo on that a few times, to sail them up into the lull of the ferry and drop them there and get out of there as quick as we could.
Try and box them out. Yeah, it looks like our leaders, there's a couple having to tack out now. They're sort of weighing up whether they can cross and stay to windward of the ferry. Looks to me like Moonen and Sutek are going to try and do that, but they've just pulled the pin now. They've realised that they weren't going to make it across the front of the ferry, so they've tacked out. And as Jimmy's saying, this ferry is going to cross to weather of the whole fleet. You don't want to be too close to it. The boats that have tacked a little bit earlier will get a less of a shadow. So you can see the ferry now starting to climb over the top of the boats. By the time it does get in their wind shadow, I think most of the fleet will have enough separation it won't affect them too badly.
Looks like this ferry is staying up nice and close to the shore for them, which is nice.
Might be one of our skiff sailing ferry drivers, do you think, Jimmy, maybe?
Mate, if not, just a shout out to the ferry drivers. They've actually been pretty good with both the 16s and the 18s for the best part of a couple of years, and I think a lot of that is attributed to a few of the guys that we know that work at Sydney Ferries, obviously teaching them a thing or two. So
having a word?
Well, yeah, I've actually been up in the wheelhouse of one of them, and it's a pretty daunting thing.
As have I, yeah.
Pretty daunting boat to be in the wheelhouse of.
Yeah, they're
anyway, back
not
to the
overly
skiffs.
manoeuvrable. Yeah, both sail racing and Moonin looking in good shape here at the moment. Good little. So yeah, even after a short amount of time, they've stood out by 50 to 100 metres over the majority of the fleet. You just see on screen, top of your screen there now, there'll be a cross between Moonin and Sail Racing. Fire stopping just in the way of our view there, but yeah, Moonin has crossed in front of Sail Racing there, so Moonin leads at this point in time. We've got a long way to go.
So 5 laps for the 16s and 3 for the 13s. So we'll endeavour to do our best to try and cover both classes as best we can. It's pretty gnarly out here, especially once we get past Flagstaff or Canai Point.
Yeah, and for the viewers at home, just to appreciate, especially with this shorter course and a lot of laps, it gets pretty tricky for us to just manoeuvring between all the boats and the fleets, but we always try and bring you the best action.
Yeah, we're pretty landlocked in certain areas, so it's...
like we are now, sandwiched between a headland and a fleet of 16-foot skiffs, yeah.
It's all right, we'll get our opportunity in a minute.
So you just saw Fire stopping, get back onto port there, and they're going to thread their way through. They're currently in probably about 8th or 9th position. Out back in Cunningham, still on the starboard lay, coming over towards...
yeah, they'll just be tacking behind Moonin, who is on screen now.
What do you think here, though, Jess? Looks a bit patchy looking in front of us there.
Yeah, it quite often does get pretty patchy in a quarantine. We seem to get some wind shadows, which you're not quite expecting, so it's important to keep your eye out as you're coming in close on this side. Yeah, so there's our top 3 in our series, all very close together. Moonin with a very close lead at the moment. Looks like Imagine has done well, coming back just behind Sail Racing.
Yeah, I think Imagine's managed to get the better of Sail Racing now. Don't think Sail Racing can tack there at the moment. Just gone past the Typhoon with a man overboard off screen there.
Yeah, Wes just down checking to make sure there's nothing on the centreboard. Back on board safely.
Moonin often does really well once they've made a good start to just keep in clear air, not muck around with other boats until they've comfortable with a lead that they've extended on. So we can see them, no boats around them at the moment, sailing in clear air, just doing what they do best.
Yeah, they tend to, when they can stretch their legs, they've got good boat speed, but from what I'm seeing, it looks like Sail Racing and Imagine are lifting on port tack at the moment, so...
Yeah, so Moonin is currently our furthest right boat, up the top right of your screen. Oh, there we go, it's a good shot. Sail Racing and Imagine Signage have come further out to the left, and as Dolly said, they do seem to be lifting over Moonin, so it'll be interesting to see what happens when they all start tacking back.
Yeah, because with them lifting, it also means when Moonin tacks, they'll be knocking, but
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
breeze is oscillating, so they will wait for a shift before they tack back out. And as I mentioned, Moonin sailing across sort of the bay in front of Middle Harbour there, which is they'll be getting a lot of current. A lot of current will be pushing them up course, so even though they might not have the ideal breeze direction, they'll be maximising the current there.
Yeah, we can see with sail racing on screen now, we're just going past our quarantine, kind of getting into more open water in the Sound, and the swell has picked up a bit. So your tactics are going to have to change slightly with how you find that boat speed. We had flat water back in Manly, and now going out into the swell, they'll be needing to change gears a little bit, adjust their crew weight back in the boat slightly, so you're not digging the nose in as much.
And do you do much with the canoes and bang and that as well, Jess? Or
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would say not as much bang on once you're getting into the swell.
Yeah.
Easing things off a little bit just so that rig has a bit to move.
Yeah, a bit less bang and put the bow down a bit. Boat speed's your friend in this lumpy stuff.
Yeah, and not keeping the boat as flat either. Still a flat boat, but when you're getting over some big waves, a little bit of heel so you can keep that speed on.
We've got eyes on the top mark now, so it looks like in a great spot for a bit of action, if you ask me.
Yeah.
great for us, maybe not for them.
So Moonin has just tacked back on screen there.
The freshwater class ferry has had to do the big loop out through the heads and then hang a hard right and come back in. So when the big ferries have to do that, you know, there's a bit of swell running. But yeah, here in the camera cat, folks, we're riding a bit of a Bronco, so...
Just watching the depth gauge doll.
Yeah.
They're about 3 metres, 3.5, 4 metres, these rollers.
Yeah.
Now Moonin has actually tacked back and gone behind both Sail Racing and Imagine Signage. So yeah, unfortunately that lost out a bit for them, but now they're coming over to this left-hand side of the course, so maybe they'll get that same shift.
Yeah, they'll still have a couple of tacks.
Yeah.
They went the way you said to go too, Jess. Go left,
Yeah,
right?
and I did say I often get it wrong in a southerly, so...
They're seeing the top mark there now. There's Sail Racing and Imagine. They've tacked on a ley line for that top mark. And Jimmy's going to get us in a great position here for the bear away.
I'm just trying to follow the ferry course out the heads, mate. It's plenty-on.com.
And that camera is doing a brilliant job.
Absolutely.
Considering the amount we're going up and down, folks, and that picture is nice and steady. Great technology.
There's our top mark. It looks like Imagine got a nice cover. Moonin comes back just behind. So our leaders currently are Imagine Signage.
Sorry, we seem a little bit further away than normal viewers. We're just trying to find a spot to turn the boat.
And there's Nozomi on screen having an absolutely wonderful race.
Yeah, we were talking them up in the pre-start there, and
Yeah.
they could well round this top mark in either 4th or 5th spot. Sutek's in there in the mix.
And IME have come back really well from being over at the start, so they started last after they had to go back, and they are looking like they could be in 4th. So well done to the
Indeed.
boys on IME.
Big comeback, big comeback. And yeah, the top boats, as you would expect, got around trouble-free. A little bit lucky, I think. This breeze direction is a little side onto the swell, so they're not
Yes.
bearing away hard down the swell into the trough. They're bearing away sort of across the swell at the moment, which is a bit of a benefit.
Yeah, I don't think you want to pull off the jibe set at the top mark today.
No, not today, Jimmy.
And it looks like they're getting a nice clear run back in down into Manly, so no one should have to do a risky jibe out in the swell.
Yeah, so Nozomi in sixth there behind Sutek, followed by Cunningham's. Bit of a scrappy set from the fluid, but they've got it up and setting now, followed by the fire-stopping.
Really great shot of our top three on screen there. So imagine Signage were our first boat to jibe out, just crossing in front of the fleet.
Then a Simo jibe from Sail Racing and Moonan going together.
We nearly did a Simo jibe on here, Dol.
Yeah, we're just jibing the camera cat here. We're going surfing ourselves, so but yeah, they're safely off on that port jibe, and they'll jibe just south of Reef Beach, which is another spot where the swell can catch you off guard.
Yeah, it looks like so far we've only got one more boat to go around the top mark, but everyone got around that first time really safely and well, so well done to the fleet.
There's fluid and fire stopping. I was about to say they'll be looking at jibing, and fire stopping have gone. As of Cunningham's, fluid just continuing on a little bit further. There's a quite a large charter fishing boat right where everyone wants to jibe at the moment. So
well, that fishing boat would normally be offshore, Dol, but it's
yeah,
a little bit rough.
You can see on screen there, Imagine and Sail Racing have gone right into the point just above Reef Beach. That always seems to play lots of benefits with the breeze that you're getting. If you sail too far under quarantine, as we said on the upwind, there's often quite a lull that you can fall into, or a wind shadow. So these boats are just making sure they stay in the breeze all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah, nice little drag race going on between Sail Racing and Imagine at the moment. And as you can see, Moonan still closely behind in third spot.
Yeah, we can see our 13th fleet has just started coming upwind. Harkin on screen there looks like, as far as I can see, they potentially are leading at the moment. We do have a few boats that have come over to the left-hand side of the course who are looking really good too. One of those being our Sail Media 13-foot skiff, looking really nice with where they are at the moment.
I think the Sail Media leads to me.
Yeah. They've played that really well coming out to the left.
Pull the bang on a little Daryl if you're listening.
I don't think he's listening right now.
When you watch this back tonight.
Great job by, great job by Sail Racing. Just coming into the bottom gate mark now. Looks like Imagine Signage have jibed too early, so they will need to put another jibe in, but I think if Sail Racing have played this right, they might be able to sneak through those bottom marks. However, they are on port tack with Imagine coming through on starboard, so they will need to give way. So interesting move there by Sail Racing, and decided to jibe and actually go to the starboard mark at the bottom. I guess just giving themselves a bit of separation on Imagine Signage.
Just
yeah, they were in pretty close.
Pressure.
No, they were in pretty close quarters there, and yeah, there was no advantage in them following tightly behind Imagine there, so
yeah.
They opted for the right-hand gate. Moonan has taken the left-hand gate, and as Jess mentioned before at the top mark, the big charger so far is Imey. Still in fourth place, but they've made up a hell of a lot of ground, haven't they?
Yeah, there's Imey going around the starboard gate. Sutek and Imey looking like they are pretty neck and neck around this bottom.
Yeah, so I'm taking the right hand and Sutek taking the left. Next in, we've got Nozomi. As we said, they are having a fantastic race. Well done, the young guys. Hopefully they can keep it together and hang in there. And Nick Connor and the team in Cunningham's Real Estate be next around. Very late jibe drop here. No pressure.
No pressure on the forward hand at all.
Do you know who they got in the bow today?
Ryan Wilmot in
Just
the
getting
bow,
told Ryan Wilmot by our expert spy that flew in from England to join us today. Welcome back to the team, Alex Chittenden.
Alex Chittenden, formerly of the Cunningham's Real Estate. Next up, we've got Fluid going around the left and Fire Stopping going around the right simultaneously. Okay, we're seeing some great racing here today.
Yeah, it's nice to see that the fleet is comfortably splitting between the left and right bottom marks here. Quite often one seems to be more favoured, but it's good for them that they seem to be able to choose either one.
Altus in a bit of trouble just there.
Doing a bit of kite flying.
Yeah, that's...
I'd suggest someone lets the halyard go if they can. Someone's in the boat. There they go.
There we go. Well saved, but still a bit
They've got a bit.
mess.
They've got a bit to do.
They got their next problem.
Yeah, they've got a bit to do now.
Fireball on screen there, another young crew who are doing really well.
So it's James Downey on the fireball, the other Downey brother.
And Bartley on screen there with Dan Brumlow, Tom Walmsley and Jesse Lilly on sheet.
Nice overhead shot of the Sutek there, going nicely upwind. Looking up towards Sail Racing, is it there? Yep.
Yeah, so Sail Racing chose to go around the right-hand gate, which pushed them out on the left-hand side of the course. We saw our 16Ft Skiffs, it seemed to favour a little bit on the left, but I can see Moonin out on the left as well. Yeah, there's Moon and Yachts on screen there coming across with Quarantine in the background.
Yeah, so they lost quite a bit on that right-hand side of the track last time, so this time they've decided to come right over to the point.
Take every last little bit of water that they could take
Yeah,
there.
they certainly did.
Yeah, you can see that they've still got plenty of breeze in front of them, so shouldn't be falling into any wind shadows. Sail Racing on screen there with Imagine signage up the top right of your screen. So it looks like Imagine potentially have the lead at the moment. It'll be a close cross between Sail Racing and Moonin.
Yeah, Imagine have really stepped out from that bottom mark. Sutek have in with a close cross with the Imi. Advantage Sutek. Just off screen, we're just getting a bit of a close-up and personal with the Imi.
There they are.
There they are, just completed the tack off the point as well. They didn't go in quite as close as Moonin did. And as we're heading towards a 0.01 tide,
At 4 o'clock this afternoon.
yeah, there's not going to be a lot of water in there soon. I think with each lap you want to just step out a little bit, not go so close.
So we've got Moonin and Sail Racing on screen there. It looks like Sail Racing at the top of your screen seem to be sailing a slightly higher line than Moonin. I know Moonin do like to really dig down deep and go for speed, so they might have a speed advantage, whereas Sail Racing have a height advantage. We can just see Imagine Signage on screen as well, who have crossed in front of Sail Racing.
Yeah, Imagine have just taken a little chip back to the left-hand side of the course again, mate.
Yeah, I think a smart move by them, just keeping a loose cover on your two competitors.
Always stay between your opposition and the next mark.
Yep. They've got plenty of pressure here all the way into North Head, so we'll...
Super flat and smooth. They're sailing the boat there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coming into tack now, just inside of North Head. And that should give them a nice line above their opposition. They've really, I think they've stepped that lead out a little bit on this second beat.
Yeah, it does look like it. They've put themselves in a nice position up to the top mark, a bit closer to that ley line if they choose to go that far. Moon and Yachts, who are now also coming back in over to this left-hand side of the course.
Yeah, but probably a good 100, 150 metres trailing behind Imagine.
Yeah, it's Imagine on the top of your screen there, so they have put, yeah, really stepped out over the top. We do have our 13-foot skiffs who are approaching our top mark. There they are on screen now. It looks like Sail Media will be our first 13-foot skiff around. So well done to them for sailing a really good upwind. Looks like MCC in second position.
Oh, Sail Media just survived.
Just surviving that.
Just survived that barrel,
stopped a beat there.
Yeah.
Harkin didn't quite lay that top mark, so they have had to tack back out.
Sail Media down.
Sail Media down, folks.
Yeah, they just got a bit unsteady, and it's quite hard to find your balance after a bear away like that.
So next around we've got Tom Millam and Tom Cameron, Modern Concept Constructions, and then Heidi and Orlando in Harkin.
Yeah, and Ebix in fourth, although they just put a really good mark rounding in. Harkin went a little bit further, I think just trying to time it right with the swell for their bear away, and Ebix were able to go around inside them.
Bit of a slow set on Ebix, but they've survived safely, which is the most important thing.
Keep the flappy things in the sky tends to work the best.
And the fins in the water, yeah. So Modern Concept Constructions on screen there now. Tom and Tom. It's the overhead. Just looking down to the top mark there for the 13s. So both fleets using the same top mark. Today, just the difference in the number of laps.
Yeah, so our 13s will be doing 3 laps today. Sail Media have got their boat back up again, but they will need to do another bear away to start heading downwind again. A bit of trouble.
Is that Cheeky, I think, is it?
Cheeky, yes. Looks like they've got a problem with their halyard not pleating potentially, and as soon as it goes in the water, it's going to make life really hard for them to get back up.
that's a really hard hoist out of the water, isn't it? To
Yes.
try and keep pulling it up. But they're still upright.
Yeah, here we have our 16s, and wow, look at that, a change of lead. Well done to Sail Racing on a good upwind, just sneaking around in front of Imagine Signage. And then a bit of a gap until third. Now the 16s downwind with a bigger kite are able to run a bit deeper, so these 16s should be able to get comfortably below the 2 13s in front of them.
Imagine starting to roll over the top, like pushing a bit of height and speed to try and roll over the top of Sail Racing, but challenging in these conditions. But they are making a bit of gauge to windward of them, and then they'll try and just drop the bow down a bit and heat up and use boat speed to go over the top, and it looks like they're managing to do that at the moment.
So we have Moonin around in third with Imi around in fourth. Struggling a little bit with a windward set there. But Moonin on screen have gotten away nicely.
Imi with a terrible wine glass.
Yeah, that's a pain to get out. Sometimes with a wine glass, the easiest way to get it
Here
out
it
is
goes.
to jibe. But yeah, good for them.
Yeah,
They
no, you might have-
actually had dropped the halyard a little bit, I saw, so that's another good tip to get a wine glass.
With the Barnabas winches on board, you could do that with it fully set,
Yeah.
couldn't you?
Sutek around in fifth, holding their position really nicely. And then a bit of a gap until sixth place behind these guys.
Yeah, so following them we'll have Fluid, Fire Stopping, Nozomi and Cunningham's.
Yeah, Botany Scaffold on screen, one of our 13-foot skiffs, with no kite. Not sure
Yeah,
what's
I
going
was-
on there, Dolly.
I was watching them as my daughter is on board, and they were, looking like they got the kite a little bit out of the spinnaker chute, and then it looked like it wouldn't go any further, and it's not going up. So I'm guessing they've got a halyard problem or something on board.
And look, it's tough for our 13, so 13-foot skiffs with only 2 people. When the sheet hand is in the boat pulling up the kite, it's really only the skipper that's got any body weight on the side, so that makes it quite hard. In the 16s, they've got a third person who can stay out on the wire while the forward hand is setting, so I actually found that a bit easier moving into the 16s compared to 13s.
Especially when you're just a wee slip of a lass and
Yeah.
not much riding moment.
Yeah, I could hike as hard as I want, but sometimes it's just not enough.
It looks like the girls off screen have managed to sort that out. The spinnaker has gone up, but it's got a nasty wine glass, but there it goes, they're off. That's good news for me. Won't have a grumpy daughter tonight. But that's cost them a lot of distance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got a ferry on screen there just weaving its way through the fleet and doing a great job of it, fortunately. As we head back down course ourselves to try and get you some shots down to the bottom, and you can see there Sail Racing and Imagine still in very close quarters. It did look like when they were on starboard jibe before they jibed back across that Imagine was going to get a bit of an advantage, but looks like Sail Racing has managed to hold them off.
Yeah, real good battle between these two. So Imagine overtaking Sail Racing before. Now Sail Racing has done the same thing back to them. They've gone the same route as last time downwind, going over to that left-hand shore. And I think potentially the fighting between Imagine and Sail Racing has meant that Moonin has perhaps been able to catch up a little bit, with Moonin on screen there, that third white spinnaker.
Yeah, certainly Moonin being able to choose where they want to go rather than, as you say, just being in that tactical battle and fighting it out with another boat has just allowed them to sail their own race. Moonin just deciding to jibe earlier there. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out when we get to the bottom, whether they can make a little bit of a distance gain. At the moment it looks like Sail Racing doesn't want to jibe until Imagine does. So.
Yeah, and it looks like they're pointing a bit higher further down. So I think Moonan perhaps saw that and decided to put a jibe in early and come back further down.
Yeah, there was a simultaneous jibe between Imagine and Sail Racing there. Imagine was pushing Sail Racing out and out as far as they can, and looks like might have given Imagine a little bit of an advantage there.
Yeah, and you can see Sail Racing aren't quite all the way out on the wire. I don't actually think they have laid this bottom mark, so they're just keeping their crew weight in slightly to maybe try and get down to the mark. And Moonan seems like they have absolutely caught up. They're coming in with lots of speed. I think they've gone a bit far. Boat's heeled over a bit. But yeah, Moonan's speed compared to the other two has allowed them to catch up. So probably a good move by them, jibing out early.
Yeah, and a very deep run from Imagine to get down to this mark and drop their kite. Moonan really rolling the dice with a very late drop there.
Looks like, no, they've got it down okay.
The Ronston 13.
Speaking of late drops. Very late drops,
Yeah.
and that didn't go well for the Cybertech. They couldn't head up there because they had
Yeah, I
the
think
Ronston boat on top of them.
Ronston were trying to keep clear on top of them, and boat was too heeled over that they couldn't quite get in to drop their kite. But they've got it down now. Sail Media on screen there, so they've managed to get down after their swim at the top.
Next in the 16s, we've got Signage taking the right-hand turn and Imey taking the left-hand turn. So that's a gain from the Signage on Imey. But both of them still in the hunt here. But great, we saw a nice little mix-up at the gate there between Imagine, Moonan and Sail Racing. So that's really tightened up the front of the pack, which is good for close competition.
Yeah, on screen there we've got Fluid, who is in 6th.
Also coming in hot.
Yeah, a bit kinder on their forward hand there. That probably looks like a good spot to drop their kite. They'll get it down nice and neatly, take a breath as they go around the mark. So they're just going up for their 3rd lap out of 5, so still absolutely a long way to go, particularly seeing how much the lead has changed.
Glad we brought you along, Jess, to do the counting. I was in my head going 1, 2, 3. What was that, 4?
Where are we up to?
Yeah.
Nick Connor on the team on the Cunninghams, taking the right-hand gate.
And Nozomi, who is still doing really, really well, just in front of Fire Stopping.
And that spinnaker on Nozomi is quite smaller than everyone else's in
It's quite a small rig.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, which I think suits them, being a bit lighter. I think being able to not overpower themselves with a slightly smaller rig is going to give them a bit of an advantage.
Just not on screen, just noticing a problem on board the Fire Stopping. Looks like the outhaul strap has snapped on the
yes,
back of the boom.
Well spotted, mate. Yeah, there's a bit of distance between the sail and the end of the boom there. That won't.
Yeah, that little rope hanging off the back of their boom.
Yeah, the strap. Says Sophie and Bella Botany Scaffold, so they did manage to get that spinnaker up and get around, but it's cost them quite a bit of time, unfortunately.
Shebang is our next 16 around with Fireball and
Outback Marine,
Outback
is it?
Marine, yep.
G'day, Stewie Graham, if he's watching. Mr. Outback Marine himself.
Up there in Queensland. And next in will be Bartley Constructions next 16 through the gate. So we'll just start making our way back up course again so that we can bring you more top mark action. Ride the bucking camera cat back to the top of the course.
Hasn't been as much excitement up the top as what I was hoping for, so
Yeah.
you know, I think we're going to have a serious talk to these guys.
Good for our sailors, though. Well done to them.
Next time we'll tell them to go big rig, right?
Yeah, big rig, and put the top mark right out where it normally lives.
Yeah, for those who may not be regular watchers, sometimes we have, for the long course, we'll do 3 laps in the southeast to a mark which is halfway between South Head and Bondi, actually in the ocean. So, but yeah, looking at the conditions today, certainly wasn't the day to be doing that.
And I don't think we've done it this season in
No,
any of the
not
races.
for a little while,
so
yeah.
Used to be one of our favourite courses back in the day.
Certainly was when we were sailing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, I've just had a look at the wind readings, and has seemed like it's around our 16 to 19 knots, so definitely manageable for our crews in a little rig. I think the big rigs, they would have been slightly overpowered, particularly at the top end of the course, but yeah.
There's Cybertech, our 13-foot skiff national champions.
Yeah, not probably having the race that they would have wanted today, but yeah, they're still sailing really well. Might have a bit of fighting to do. They're not sitting too high. I think in 5th. Were they 5th in our
in the point
overall
score
series?
Yeah. But Theo Franklin and Kobe Napa, as the season progressed, certainly found their legs and peaked at the right time for the national championships.
Yeah, absolutely. So their results at the beginning of the season don't quite reflect how they went in nationals. So for this club championship, they did have a bit of work for themselves to catch back up.
We're looking into the boat there now, and you can see 2 pretty big teenagers, those 2. They should be revelling in it today. But yeah, they worked very hard to win that in the lead up to that national championship, and it paid off. Hard work brings the results. So we're just heading back up.
There is MCC, our 13-foot skiff, who is currently leading the race.
It's good to see the respect between the 16s and the 13 crews has really improved. I've really noticed it, particularly this year with the, like before the 16s used to be a little bit bullyish towards the 13s, and the respect is right across the board now, which is really great to see.
Yeah, and I think it's helped that we've had a lot of 13 sailors move up into the 16s who have been there and done it, and understand that it's not nice when a big boat of 3 adults are telling you to give way. But yeah, our 16 sailors are really doing really well. There's been a bit of coaching as well between some of our 16 and 13-foot skiff sailors. We just saw on screen a really close cross between Moonin and Imagine Signage. And there we have Sour Racing as well.
Yeah, so all 3 of them on screen there now, so you can, the camera, as I often say, the camera doesn't do justice to how the distances are, closer distances are sometimes, but yeah, all 3 boats still in very close proximity with we've got two laps to go, so one more time to the top mark after this one, I think is right.
2 more times to the top mark, isn't it?
Including this one though.
This is lap 3 out of 5.
Lap 3 of 5.
I don't know, that's why I always had skipper's dull. I was just the sheet hand that pulled on that rope and leaned hard apparently.
So interestingly, it didn't work for Moonin the first time upwind, but this time they've gone back out to the right side of the course again. The wind has been shifting a bit, but I think if anything it has gone further to the east. So Imagine Signage has gone to that left-hand side of the course, which I think where the breeze might be more favoured. But I've been wrong many times before, so I'll let the story play out.
Yeah, I suspect they also might have seen a ferry which is coming up. But all three of them will be on the eastern side of the ferry. That he might have seen that ferry coming and decided he wanted to be above it.
I just find it funny with Moon and with Dan Turner on there that the first time he went right, didn't work, he's gone there again, like it. You know, Nathan's been very, on Imagine Signage, has been very diligent about protecting this left-hand side, but Moonan looks like the right's finally paid for him.
Yeah, as I mentioned, Jimmy, in this big outgoing tide, that right-hand side is the favoured side for the current, but you also need the breeze to work in your favour as well.
Yeah, we're down to inside the last hour of the tide, so there's not a lot of water movement, but as I was saying off air before we went live, there's a ton of water coming out of Middle Harbour from the rain we had.
It's a big differential.
And I think, with the tide going out and the rainwater, there's a difference of about 4 knots of current coming under the Spit Bridge.
So Sail Racing have just tacked behind the ferry there. They'll get a bit of the ferry swell pushing them back over this side. Still very, very close between these top three.
Yeah, well, the best of the exchanges in this work has certainly been Moonan. They were third through the gate at the bottom of the course, and for my money they're going to lead at the top mark this time, narrowly, but they will lead.
So they are tacked on their ley line there with Imagine Signage. Oh, and it looks like Sail Racing perhaps are either being covered and weren't quite going to make that mark.
Yeah, they were a bit underlaid there and were getting gas off Moonan, so more advantage to Moonan, with Sail Racing having to do a double tack into the top mark, which always costs you time. Nice set on Moonan team there, but once again, Imagine on the money. Or Moonan went there. Moonan just trying to get over the 13-foot skiffs there. They had a bit on for a moment, but they've safely made it through.
I think we might stay with these three. This is really tightening up as a race.
Yeah, they've put a bit of distance between the following group, where we still have Imey, Sutek and Fluid are in the second group from 4th through to 6th. So yeah, we'll stay with them, and we're getting some great drone shots. The 3 boats lined up there. There they are there. You've got 3 on screen.
The first of the 13s around, being Modern Concept Constructions. Not having it all their own way, they've got another 13 being Harkin, hot on their heels. So there's a tight battle in the 13s as well, so we'll keep a close eye on that.
So that'll be a gain from the Harkin. They've reined in the distance.
Yeah, just a little comment. Ebic seem to have slipped back a bit. They are currently contending with Harkin for the overall points, so Ebic's fans, sorry to say they've slipped back a little bit, but look, still 2 more laps, or 1.5 more laps for our 13-foot skiffs, so there's plenty of time to catch up. They seem to be carrying their kites before driving a bit further than last time. We can see Moonan has just jibed there.
Yeah, I was about to say I was expecting Sail Racing to be the first to jibe there and just roll the dice a little to try and get back on the 2, but three boats have pretty much jibed in line.
Yeah, if you remember the last downwind when Moonin put an extra jibe in at the bottom, I think perhaps this time they felt like they were carrying the breeze okay, so now they've put a later jibe in to perhaps save them an extra jibe later.
You can see top right of your screen there, there's just a small ferry trying to stay out of the way, going to be, and yeah, Sail Racing's had to jibe away. That ferry was in their way. And that's a ferry that was meant to give way.
That's going to be really frustrating for them.
I feel like I'm in Sydney Cove, the amount of ferries that are around us at the moment, Dol.
Yeah, well, on screen you're about to see another one split through. Oh, there we are. Another ferry coming out of Manly. And then we've got a fast ferry directly behind you too, Jimmy. Heads up.
Yeah, I've got him. That's what I'm trying to figure out my spot in all this.
See Felix, the skipper, is holding the main sheet there, just lightly trimming the main downwind. I find often people think that you can set and forget the main downwind, but it absolutely is a big sail and it can have quite a lot of effect. So just trimming on each of those waves downwind.
Oh, now we've got Moonin lit up with a yacht in their way as well. There we are there, folks. Oh, and he's turned the yachts now. Turning when he shouldn't have.
Yeah, well done to Moonin. So Moonin were on starboard there, so they really should have had right of way, but they
being a learned to sail boat, I think the Flying Fish sailing school.
Yeah, and they were coming in pretty quick, so.
And often in a skiff, it's easier to just do your thing and get around and then to call starboard on it and then have them compound the issue even further.
They obviously hadn't done that important starboard part of the course yet.
No, we've got a bloke, we've got to enrol in that.
I'll get to that later.
So it looks like Moonin will be going around this right-hand mark, a nice jibe drop right on the mark. And there we have Imagine currently in second position, who looks like they've just jibed to put some separation perhaps between themselves and Moonin. And Sail Racing in third.
Yeah, so just that last little bit of the run, Moonin just extended slightly.
You always get nervous though when Nathan Wilmot chooses a different mark to you. You sort of makes you second guess what are you doing at the mark that you went around.
Yeah, Nathan Wilmot with, if you weren't aware, has been to the Olympics. Very successful sailor, so his training and his tactics are incredible.
Both Malcolm and Nathan Olympic gold medalists. Malcolm with the couple.
And just like that off screen, Moonin's tacked back to go over to the same area that Imagine Signage and Sail Racing are in.
As I said before, stay between your opposition and the next mark, which is what they're doing.
Next round is Imey with, is that Sutek hot on their heels, so Sutek boys aren't lying down and letting this race go on without them. They really want to stay in it.
Will Dargaville on the sheet on the Sutek today.
Yeah, well, I think their usual sheet hand James is injured.
And since Will's been on board, like he did the Nationals with them, unbelievable. The results are not taking anything away from James. But
yeah, careful what you choose your words carefully there, James.
But you know, Dougie's jumped in there at short notice and got that boat going really well. So it's good to see.
Yeah, it's always amazing when you can replace someone and the boat still goes well. So they've done really well with James. We've seen them have some really impressive results with him too. But to get a new person on just really shows how well they work together. Fluid just on screen there, who is in sixth position.
We've got a lead change just around to the left of this shot on the 13s. We have the Fluid.
Yeah, well done to them. I don't think they had the nationals they were quite hoping for, but this is really their breeze. I've seen them do really well in this fresher stuff before, so I think they would have gone into today with some confidence. So one more lap for our 13s and 2 more laps for our 16-foot skiffs.
Very scrappy drop there from Liam and Don, though. They got themselves in a bit of strife there. But
and if we
Modern Concept not really capitalising it, and Harkin also have overstood and have had to drop early and come up to get to the mark. So they've elected to two-sail reach to the left-hand mark now. There they are.
Yeah, that'll set them back a little bit, but I guess they maybe weren't so confident doing a two-sail jibe, which is fair enough.
And a little bit flatter water just there in the back of that shot up towards Reef Beach, which tends to be a little advantage if you've got good boat speed and you just like to pin the ears back and go. That's the spot to go and hammer out.
Yeah, especially if you're not trailing someone, you can get in there with a bit of boat speed and capitalise on the flat water. Nozomi, bit of a late drop as well. No one doing their forward hands too many favours today, I've got to say. Fire stopping now doing the same. Poor Jamie. You see them. There they are on screen now. So it looks like they might have a bit of a problem with the halyard.
So we actually had an extendable tiller extension on our boat, so if that ever happened, I would pass the tiller out to my sheet hand, Andrew, and then I would have to go forward and pack the kite. So I guess that serves me right if I made them drop it too late.
Yeah, we had the same thing back in the day on the fire stopping, but sort of disappeared when Joe became the skipper. Wouldn't hand the tiller off ever.
No, old super glue turner.
Yeah, it just means you can get 2 people out on the wire, so having 1 person out is a lot slower. Cybertech Group coming in as our next 13-foot skiff. And there's Ebix on screen there.
So they're both opting to take opposite ends of the gate.
Yeah, really nice rounding from Ebix. Got their kite down, sticking out a little bit, but looks like Gemma has just leant in and packed it properly. Moonin on screen there, who we've lost them a little bit, but I would say they're probably still in the lead.
Yep, we're going to head back on up and see what we can find.
Yeah, great shot of the drone there. Viewers can see the twist in the sails. You can see they're a little bit more pressure now on this lap. You can see they're easing a bit of gear, keeping the boat nice and flat. You can see the water streaming off the boat. They've got pretty good boat speed there. Still in the reasonably flatter water of the bottom end of the bay. It just gets lumpier and lumpier the further we get up, but once again they've put in just a tack to keep themselves in touch with the 2 boats following. So just sort of imagine tack over, so that's because they had Moonin heading their way, so they'll keep themselves on that line, and then we're looking at fluid just tacking off the point at Manly.
Yeah, fluid is tacked and some really nice pressure there.
Just narrowly leading Cunningham's fluid. So Nick and the boys about to tack as well.
Does Paulie not take the main sheet through the tack?
No, they've handed off to Nick and then take it on the other side. A bit too much for him to think about, I think, Jimmy.
I didn't do it either.
I think sometimes it's actually nice as a skipper to have a little bit of control of the sheet through a tack. Just means you can balance the steering and the sheet at the same time while the sheet hand is getting themselves sorted. But yeah, all boats play that a little bit differently.
As an ex-sheet hand, I'm happy to hand the sheet off permanently to the skipper if you like. It's if you like it that much, have it downhill, uphill.
Yeah, you'll see around the start too, there are a fair few skippers who will take the sheet around before the start just to keep control.
Yeah, I used to do that. I just felt like I had a better feel of the control of the boat doing that. Army there now. They're about to tack as well. There they go. So everyone seems to be sailing a little bit more middle of the course on this beat. So no one's standing out too far to one side or the other. But Moonan's still definitely using the tactic of keeping themselves just to the weather side, keeping themselves between their opposition and the next mark. Not letting the opposition get any shifts that they may not get. They've tacked now and they'll be fairly close to a port ley line to this top mark. They're launching us, Jimmy.
Scotty does build a good boat, mate. You know that.
Certainly rides pretty well for these conditions of the camera boat.
So on the screen there we've got Moonan, Sail Racing, and then Imagine Signage as the furthest boat back. So it looks like Moonan have put an extension on their lead at the moment.
I think you were alluding to that earlier, that they just, once they finally get there, they just keep going.
Yep.
It's like they found a next gear.
Yeah, if they can sail their own race, their own tactics, go where they want to go and not be determined by their opposition. They've certainly got good wheels, they've got boat speed.
See how big the swell there is, where we're losing Moonan below a wave and then reappearing.
Yeah, the overhead shot there, you can see they just rolled over quite a decent swell there. In the overhead, hard to tell the wave height, but yeah, that gives you a little bit of a better idea. But yeah, we're looking at about probably 2.5 metre swell here today.
Enough to keep you on your toes, that's for sure.
Certainly. So they've now tacked onto the ley line for the top. They've given themselves a little bit of work to do here. They're pretty skinny ley line, but I think they'll get there. When you're in the lead, the last thing you want to be doing is a double tack. You give yourself a little bit of room to move, but it looks like they've just lifted a touch now and they'll get around comfortably. So your 3 leaders in shot there now. They're safely away. And a windward set, but they made that look very easy.
Yeah, copy will do.
Okay, so that shows the lead that Moonan have put on. Here we have Sail Racing in second. Imagine Signage third. And perhaps Sutek have got back in front of Imi in 4th and 5th.
Yeah, so about 15 seconds the lead there, but Sail Racing a little bit slower on the chute there, and 15 seconds equates to about 100 metres, would appear. Moonan stepped out nicely. Imagine still hot on the heels of Sail Racing, so still plenty to play for here.
Yeah, we can see Moonan driving off much earlier than the last downwind, which shows that the wind is shifting a little bit. They were pointing higher and into quarantine more than they were last time. So I think a good move by them driving off sooner and perhaps putting a loose cover on the other two.
Well, Seaway is definitely dropping off a bit from the first time up to that top mark.
Yeah, which I think comes with perhaps the breeze dying off a bit too.
That the tide's virtually slack now. So.
Yeah, less flow of the tide against the breeze, so still pretty bumpy, but a little bit more comfortable than we were earlier on. Imagine still hanging on to this starboard jibe, and certainly got good pressure. If they can jibe back on pressure, they might do okay, but always a little bit risky leaving your opposition the way they are. But as we mentioned before, 2 Olympic gold medalists.
Never leave your wingman, right?
Never leave your wingman. You've heard me say that before, Jimmy. But as I say, two guys of their calibre and a budding Olympian on board. You would hope that they might know a little bit more than me, Jimmy. Just being told from behind that they do know more than me, but for my money, I think they might have lost out a little bit in that, but we'll see what pressure they can jibe onto. Oh, there they go, bow down now. So they've managed to jibe on a puff.
Just got to get the top of the main. There it goes, popped.
See how they come out of the next jibe with sail racing, and as to whether that's paid or a win or a loss.
We do have a ferry coming out of Manly as well, one of the big ferries that our skiffs have to give way to. Interesting choice on what they're going to do. It looks like Moonan will be below the ferry as well as sail racing.
So for those critiquing my knowledge from the back of the camera cat here, it was a game to sail racing there, so it would appear that hanging onto the starboard jibe ended up not paying off for Imagine. It did look a little bit softer on that side of the bay to me. It was a little bit less pressure, and Moonan and sail racing jibed while they did have pressure, so they were able to carry that with them down the bay a bit further. We're seeing a bit more jibing from all the boats on this run as they try and maintain their positioning in the breeze, in the gusts coming down the bay. So we've probably seen twice as many jibes on this run as we have in the previous runs.
Yeah, I mean, Moonan has done really well each time downwind coming further into under Reef Beach there. You can often quite get some good breeze wrapping around the point at Reef Beach.
Yeah, just looking at our overhead shot there now, you can see the patches of pressure, and no white caps anymore, so the breeze has dropped back to probably 15 knots. Really important that you keep positioning your boat in the pressure, and Daniel Turner on Moonan has picked his line coming into the gate there on a nice bit of pressure. He's done very well on this run and extended his lead.
Putting a bit of pressure on there though.
The forward hand once again.
Yep.
Maddie Stenter loves a bit of pressure.
So we can
And
see
there you
that.
go, exactly like
Yeah.
what you said, Jess, with the tiller being handed off to Simon Hoffman. Matty Stenner looks like he's got the sheet in his hand, so it's going as quick as it'll ever go, that boat anyway.
Yeah, Daniel Turner still sails with a twin tiller. So not an extendable one, but he still runs 2 tillers, which was
Here we
always
go.
my favoured configuration.
Sail Racing narrowly leading Imagine Signage around at the other mark.
Yeah, so Felix cleverly made sure he could put in a very tight rounding on the mark, which didn't allow Imagine inside, and Imagine will now be in their gas, dirty air. coming off the sails of sail racing, and that'll be right where Felix wants them.
Yeah, similar to last time where these two went around the port mark and Moonin have gone around the starboard mark and tacked on top of them. Yeah, it worked for Moonin last time, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, keep them nicely tucked away to leeward.
Here's Contemporary Pools, who's a lap behind.
Yeah, they've just gone lap down. They were capsized up at the top for quite a while.
Yeah, so Sutek is currently in 4th. They've put a bit of an extension on IME, who are in 5th.
Mikey Kerner round in 4th place, round the left-hand gate, and now we're looking at Imey, Hugh Stoddart coming in to take the right-hand gate.
And if I have this correct, the 13s are going to the finish now, right?
Yes,
this is their
they
third
will
time.
I thought you couldn't count, Jimmy. You were telling us earlier.
I've been running a cheat sheet, Lama.
Ah, you've learnt. So once again,
It's only taken me 40 plus years to learn anything, mate. So
Zach Barnabas given a bit of work to do in that drop as well, but he's got it tucked away nicely now, and they're away. And looking at that angle, Jess, a little bit more east there.
Yeah, definitely more eastern at this time.
Yeah. So we started out south-southeast. We're about 160 degrees. As we've progressed, the breeze has gone a little bit more left and the pressure has dropped slightly, so that normal southeast fade as we're coming off the back of a southerly the last couple of days.
and they're just looking just past the Cunninghams here for the drop. You've got fluid coming in. They must have had a quick little swim, possibly.
Yeah,
So right with Sutek at the
yeah, they were.
some of the bottom mark.
Yeah, so Cunningham's, I think, in 6 we're up to, and Fluid in 7th.
So Moonin, let's imagine just tacking back on the port, just shy of Manly Point, and you can see Moonin in the top of your screen there now. They'll put a tack in, and there they go now, and they'll cover off and just keep Imagine tucked away where they want them.
There's our leader on the 13s, the Fluid.
So Don Rowlandson on the helm with Liam Karunaratne.
Yeah, really good race by these boys.
Donald was talking up a big game in the park to me earlier too, so back at the club. So good to see him delivering. And a really healthy win for Fluid. We're just going to chase them down for you.
Really, really good jibe there. Straight out on the wire, not much of a flap in the kite at all, so well done to them. So the finish is where the start was, so just below the bottom gate, so they are not far off the finish now.
So they'll probably have one more. They might get there, but they might have one more jibe to get into the finish. Really nice sailing from Liam and Don, especially down when they're looking really nice nicely trimmed, flat and fast. And yeah, that should help their point score a little. They're currently sitting in 3rd overall in the point score. A little bit adrift on the points, but they'll be happy to take that win for sure. And there they go, through the finish line. They're done.
Very happy.
Looking very happy. Well done. Yeah, quite a gap between them and our next 13-foot skiffs. It looks like our next one will be MCC with Harkin very close behind.
So that's our winners. And the 13-foot skiffs. Fluid building.
So Bartley 16 there, and there's MCC in 2nd. So it looks like they might need to put one more jibe into the finish.
Yeah, they're just trying to stay away from Bartley getting through the gate there. So that's Tom Cameron with Tom Millam. Modern Concept Constructions. And they're going to they're going to have to jibe, and they need a good one because they've got Harkin breathing down their necks, but they've done that nicely. So well done, Tom and Tom.
And a really good race from Harkin as well. They're our current overall leaders in the club championship with one more race to go after this one. So for them to get a 3rd, their biggest competitors are Ebix, so they're sitting comfortably in a 3rd position, and I think they should be happy with that.
Very, yeah. It's Heidi Bates and Orlando Sadlick. Consistent results delivering the overall for them. There they go, they're through.
There's Outback Marine and Altus going around the bottom mark. As we
Yeah, fair gap to our next 13-foot skiff. It will be Ebix in 4th coming downwind, but we might start heading back up to get our 16-foot skiffs.
Georgia Clancy, they're in the Outback. Heading up for their last beat to the top mark. So yeah, we're just making our way back up course now. We have got a drone in the air still.
Wasn't looking like we're going to have a drone this morning, Dole, with the rain and the high winds. Like, we're pretty limited with obviously the weather with the drones. So you can't have them up in the rain. You can't have them up in super stupid high winds. Like we have put them up in super strong winds and sent them downwind, but
Yeah.
you're not getting back upwind with it.
It wasn't too pleasant this morning when we were doing boat work in the rain. Never much fun. But we got it done, and I think Dion and Tomo were still there in the boat working away, and they were going to watch the live stream, see their kids sailing. So hello boys, if you're watching.
On screen now we have Sutek and Imi, who are battling it out for 4th and 5th. Looks like Sutek have a bit of a cover on Imi. It's really great in this class that even though we've had a good battle between the top 3, the rest of the fleet still get a good challenge throughout the race as well.
Yeah, always a battle within the battle. But yeah, we've certainly seen some great close racing today. And it's been a fairly long, even though, well, long course as in distance. And yet we're still seeing the majority of the fleet all on the same lap. I think we've only got one boat that's not on the lead lap.
Yeah, and I think the 5 laps has actually helped with that. Normally with 3 longer laps, as we traditionally do, you kind of sink into a rhythm, but there's more tactics to play with 5 shorter laps, and we've seen that.
The only boat I haven't seen for a while, Jimmy, is Typhoon. Are they still on course, do you think? Or?
Yeah, I think we went past them on the way up.
Okay.
It's still running down.
I did see one boat going home without a mainsail up. I couldn't identify them, but
It was a white boat. So,
Yeah.
but I think I've seen Altus out here, so rules them out, shebang maybe.
potentially.
Yeah, we've seen a bit of a close-up in the distance here with Imagine closing down the distance a little bit on Moonan here. They're much closer than we were on the last lap. Jimmy's just spotted a big grey fish in front of us.
Poked its head up to have a see what was coming at it.
Saw us coming and headed down, so
So you can see on Moonan Yachts there how hard that forward hand is working, that stenter, pushing his weight forward on every wave, as well as trimming the kite, running back again to keep the boat balanced. Yeah, it's quite physical for a forward hand downwind.
So Sail Racing just lost contact a little with the two lead boats. And I don't think we'll see too much separation between the three of them. Certainly Moonan won't be going anywhere that Imagine isn't. They'll be keeping themselves in pretty much the same patch of water, not wanting them to get any breeze that they don't.
Yeah, it's definitely that point in the race heading down to the finish where if you're in the lead, you are just going to make sure you stay in front of the boat behind you.
Defence, not attack, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Moonan putting a jibe in there. Imagine Signage just off screen have not jibed yet. So it'll be interesting to see what Nathan on Imagine Signage does here. I think he'll try and keep going in the direction he's going and find that nice wind shift he found last time.
Yeah, as I said, I don't think he's going to pass on following them, so he's got a bit of a break on Sail Racing now, so they're just going to roll the dice here and see if they can find some pressure that Moonan doesn't get. Here they go, they're going to drive now. So they'll be hoping they pick up a little bit of inside pressure that they can close the distance here. They'll probably run a fairly deep line, bit of VMG sailing just to see if they can close that gap. They were very close up towards the top there. There was only about 4 boat lengths in it, so they don't need much of a gain here to get in front. They'll be looking at trying to get across. So we've got both boats on screen there now. Looks like Imagine may have gained there. They're looking in good pressure.
Yeah, Imagine's just got a really nice puff there. Now Moonan do have the slight advantage being the starboard boat.
Imagine going to slap a jibe right in their face. And interestingly, Moonan doesn't really have an option there because they're too close to the rocks to jibe out. So pretty smart tactics by the Imagine Signage boys there.
I think we're going to see a real hard fight here with Moonan to try and roll over the top of them.
The other one to keep an eye on is Sail Racing. It's right at the back door of the camera cat. They can do their own thing. So they're actually unfortunately following Imagine Signage's path. But
yeah,
you'd like to see them try and throw some caution to the wind a little bit. They've got nothing to lose there.
Yeah, unfortunately they're just a bit too much distance for them to close down, and Moonan's chosen to jibe early to get out of the gas of Imagine, but they are going to have to be able to get under the reef that juts out from the aptly named reef beach. Which
Yeah, it does look like they went a touch too early perhaps.
Yeah. Oh no, I think they're going to scrape through, Jess.
Yep.
And Imagine Signage coming back with them.
race isn't over yet, folks. And they've got that little bit of pressure that you were talking about earlier, Jess, that just funnels in through the beach here, off-reef beach here, but you need to find one to jibe out on too, don't you?
So you can see on screen there, Moonin haven't jibed yet. They're only just jibing now, so the angle difference, they've got a really nice low line.
Great jibe.
Really good jibe, and they're going to be pushing hard to their finish.
Starboard advantage.
Yeah, imagine perhaps going a bit earlier than they would have liked. I'm not sure they're going to be able to make the finish from where they are.
Well, I don't think either of them are going to lay in, but
yeah, with Moonin being the leeward boat, they
definitely advantage
closer
to Moonin.
This flying fish boat just in the way again.
But they're learning, Jimmy.
It's a whole harbour there, Dolly.
Great tactics from the Moonin boys there. Imagine is jibing and Moonin isn't, so that tells me that they're going to lay that pin, Jets. Yes,
yeah,
they are.
Sloppy jibe from Imagine Signage at timing that they didn't quite need. They've only just gone through their jibe. So well done to Moonin. Really, really good race from them. They were sitting in third for the first 2 laps, and then a few lead changes. You can see the pat on the back there. I think they're pretty happy with that one.
Daniel Turner just giving Simon Hoffman very well done, deserved pat on the back there, because and there's the boys giving us a wave on the camera cat, pretty happy. Fantastic crew work from Simon Hoffman and Matty Stenter we saw there just in the closing stages of the race. That was very good boat handling that got them the win there. Immaculate jibes and acceleration.
Here's Sail Racing, who are dropping their kite because they have just finished in third. Really great race from them as well. We can see they're heading back to D-Rig at home. How nice.
So that was a cracking race for the top 3.
Absolutely.
Very close racing. Very close racing between 3 very good crews we saw there. Yeah, we've got Sutek just off Reef Beach. We'll get them on screen for you now. There they are, and they'll put in their last jibe. They should be able to lay through to the pin end of the line.
Yeah, so the battle for 4th and 5th between Sutek and Imi looks like Sutek will finish on top.
Yeah, they've made a big gain.
Yeah.
They've put quite a bit of distance between themselves and Imi on that last run. So Mike, Will and Josh, well done on that last run, and they'll be pretty happy with a 4th place with a very hot top 3 we saw today. Excellent sailing from the Sutek boys. They're always happy, but they'll be even happier today.
Yep.
I don't think those guys have a sad mode, do they?
No, I call them the happy boat, Jimmy, you know that. Always laughing, always smiling.
Even when they say hello to you, they're laughing. They're the best bunch of guys around.
So, Imi coming in for 5th place. Hugh Stoddart with Trent and Zach Barnabas on board today. Father and son duo crewing.
And
Well done. And we're just seeing Fluid put in their last jibe into the finish. So on board today on the Fluid we had Chad Beebe on the helm with James Smithers and David Burkett. Good result from them for a team who, 3 good mates who don't normally sail together on a regular basis. And they're through the finish.
next boat is Cunningham's. I did see them coming downwind before after a jibe with a big wine glass, which took them a little while to get out. So I think that gave Fluid an advantage over them on this last downwind. It's still a really, really good race from them. with Ryan Wilmot on the bow.
Ryan in the bow with the regular team of Paulie McKenzie and Nick Connor on the helm.
And Mike Childs is still in his recovery from his shoulder, so he'll be a while back.
Mike's injured. I don't know that he'll be coming. Don't think he'll be sailing for the rest of the season.
No, and with a shoulder and how young he is, you'd strongly advise to. You'd strongly advise for him to have the rest of the season off.
Maybe there's an opportunity for one Alex Chittenden to jump on there next week. Oh, there's some laughter coming from the back of the boat.
Fire stopping on screen there will be our next 16 in.
They did well to recover considering that patch-up job that they had on the back of the main there. So,
yeah, and it looks like it's still hanging long there, is it, Jimmy? From what I can see, so
yeah,
that's not something you can easily fix out on the end of the boom there. So Alex Hart with Lockie Pryor and Jamie Stoddart in the bow. So good job from the boys with a couple of problems today.
They won the handicap at the Nationals.
They did.
So, well, what we might do, we might wrap up proceedings there. Thank you very much for joining us today, Dolly and Jess. Always a pleasure to have both of you guys on board.
Always fun to be here.
Always. You're welcome back anytime, Jess. You know that. So expect a phone call before the 16th of March, which is when we're next back on air.
Yep, and that'll be the last race.
That'll be the last
Title
heat.
up.
So,
Last heat of the clubby. Yep.
And so thank you very much all our loyal followers for tuning in and watching this Heat 7 for the Manly 16-Foot Skiff Sailing Club. Don't forget, if you want, jump on the on social medias and look up Sail Media and see what else we're up to. We're off to the 18s tomorrow, so tune in over there for 18 Footers TV. Thanks to all those legends there, the volunteers on the start boat. Hugh Lester and his team have done an exceptional job today to provide some very exciting sailing. And thank you to the wonderful team. Thanks especially to Alex Chittenden that jumped off a plane this morning from England and we managed to rope him in to convince him to come out here and help us out. So thanks, Big Al. And Sammy, Rob, thank you as always. And Chits behind the scenes making it all look very seamless. So this has been a Sail Media production for the Manly 16-Foot Skiff Sailing Club. Thank you.
Goodbye.